Oh, hi. You know that buzzing you hear? The Dremel. My name's Felicia, and I'm here to talk about crafting today. I have a passion for crafting, and a friend of mine encouraged me to make a YouTube video, so welcome to my first YouTube video. Thank you for tapping in. And today, because you can't talk all crafting all the time, I'm going to talk specifically about woodworking. I don't profess to be an expert, but I do know a little bit. And so I thought I'd share that with you. Hopefully you find it at minimum interesting, but even better, a little useful. So I'm going to start with what tools I use and have used, and then we'll kind of go from there. So these are whittling knives. You can find them in the kit. If it's in a kit, from any craft store, any online store, you will also, not any online craft store, or of course the big box ones, which will remain unnamed. They'll generally come with balsa wood like this. Sometimes they're a little bit bigger. Sometimes they are a little bit smaller. When you're using whittling knives, ideally you also have a glove that is puncture proof or puncture resistant. I don't think they're fully puncture proof ever. I do not have puncture resistant gloves. I have regular gloves. I do tend to feel a little bit, I leave my fingers out so that I can have more dexterity. But I do tend to feel a little bit more safe when there is at least a barrier between me and the knife. The other thing to keep in mind is when you are using a whittling knife, you can put your finger right on the knife, and we'll use this one. Put your finger right on the knife, and you want to cut away from you. You always want to cut away from you. Another thing you can keep in mind when you're using an actual whittling knife is that there's something called a stop cut. So if I am going to, do I want to use this one? Probably this one. If I'm going to cut this, and I don't want to go past a certain mark, I might do, let's see if you can see it, something like that, so that when I cut this way, it will stop right where sorry about the camera there, but it'll stop right where my stop cut was, the stop cut there, and then whatever I peel away from my body, by the way, will be, it'll stop right where I made that cut. That's if you're whittling, but to be honest, I don't whittle as much anymore. I still whittle. Here's a piece I did with whittling. There's a whole lot of YouTube videos already out there on how to make wood gnomes, which is what this is, or tree gnomes, depending on how you do it, what you want to call it. This was my first attempt. Let's see if we can get that. There we go. This is my first attempt at whittling altogether, and this is my first attempt at tree gnome. This side obviously has been sanded and stained. Come on. There we go. Has been sanded and stained. Excuse me, lots of dust in here. I don't recommend doing woodworking in your living room. Of course, if you're whittling, it's a lot easier to get over the dust situation, but you will still get wood everywhere. So pick your poison. Ideally, you can do it in a garage, a basement, backyard, depending on the weather. Backyard's ideal. But I am in a cold weather climate, so that's not always going to work out for me. So let's move on to some of the tools that can be used for when you have electricity, whether it be a wireless or wired. A rotary tool is awesome. It doesn't have to be the name brand Dremel, but this one, having a lot more power and a lot more weight, has its pluses and minuses. Obviously, it being a powerful one, You can get a lot more done in a lot less time with this guy. But the sheer weight of it, unless you have something like this, this side attaches to the Dremel, and this side will contain the tool that you're using. We're going to get to that in a minute. And this allows you to be a lot more precise and get right into the details of what you're working on. And I of course use that just for the big one, just for the wired guy, that power guy. That way I can take advantage of the power and still have some dexterity. This one, however, is probably my go-to. It charges, this is a Dremel Lite. It charges in only about an hour, full charge, and I probably got about 2 hours of use out of it on any charge. To give you an example of the different things, one of the first projects I finished with Dremel, combination of the two Dremels, is this one, and I can't show much because I don't want to get banned, but you get the gist. Okay, that came out of something like this, so you can see how much wood ends up getting shaved off on any project, honestly. What I would recommend if you're starting with, little balsa wood, is taking a pencil, drawing on a rough image of whatever it is you're going to do. Let's say it's going to be a leaf. Yeah. This side, it'd be much thinner, right? Because if it's going to be a 3D leaf, my leaf now is going to go like this on the sides. It's only right about there. You see it? This side would also be a leaf. And you're going to shave that off pretty quick. So I got a leaf, the thin side of a leaf, the leaf, the thin side of a leaf. You can even draw it on with pen. I wish I had the reason, well, it's good because I'm not going to carve a leaf out of here, so I don't want any marker. But you'll keep drawing throughout the piece. In fact, let's see if I can show you without getting in trouble on here. Probably not, but I will do it like this. Let's say I wanted to shave a little bit off. I decided I might circle that little area. I know I got to work on it. That way when I get to the Dremel, once I've taken a good look at whatever piece I'm working on, I can shave at that piece relatively easily. And that's true whether you're using a whittling knife or a power tool. The other thing I wanted to point out is the bits. So the bits, if you're using a power tool, are the little pieces of machinery that go inside your tool. They come in lots of sets. They're usually about $10 a set. Some of them do different things. Let me go into here. You'll notice, and you may not notice, so I'm going to take it out. Actually, I'll take these two out. If you can see, these two, same size, but one has wider cuts than the other. This is wider slits. This is gonna cut much faster than this as far as shaving the wood away. So when you're first getting your shape in, you're gonna want like the more powerful bits based on what it is you're trying to do. In there, okay, good. The next thing I'll point out, these are also called burr bits, by the way. B-U-R-R, if you're looking for them. And there are tons of shapes and sizes. So depending on what you're trying to do, and you'll have to play around with it to see what works for you. This is a grinding bit. With the grinding bit, it's almost like you're sanding a little bit. it's probably the step before sanding. So when I have my basic shape, but I want it to be smooth like a baby's butt, right? Oh, I want it to be smooth. I want it to look like that. I'm gonna grind first. You never forget sanding though. There are also sanding bits. Look a little bit like this. They come in different shapes and sizes as well. So once you've finished grinding, you'll get a sanding bit. After you finish sanding, good old-fashioned sandpaper never hurts. Highly recommend. But be careful, because there are sometimes you can sand off your details. So slow and steady wins the race. What I would say, if you're just getting started, is understand what you want to do, what you have at your disposal. In other words, if you're camping, you may want something cordless. You may not want that buzz while you're out there enjoying nature. You may want something like this. Great care needs to be taken with these, and also a lot more patience for these. Right now, I'm going to finish off with what I'm working on now, which is none of the pieces I've shown you so far. I am actually working on an altar. That altar is intended to honor my ancestors and help with my intentions. So, as such, we start with fire, the first element, air, water, and earth. This one you can barely see, but there will be more detail. I am still working on this one. This is just the top of the altar. Obviously, it'll have legs on each side. There will also be designs. And the more detail you put in there, the longer it takes. My recommendation, again, is to understand what you want to do, what you want to get out of it, what your resources are, and understand that it takes time. Be patient with yourself, be patient with your project. And hopefully this was at minimum interesting to you. If it wasn't, my bad. Just move along. I may or may not make another one anyway. But at best, you actually were able to get something out of it. And again, if not, hopefully I can learn from you again, YouTube. I appreciate you. Time is the real currency, guys. So thank you for spending your time here watching this video.